Morning traders, Paul here with GammaEdge. Today is Tuesday, the 27th of December. Let's get started. Pause your players here, read to the bottom. If you agree, hit that play button. Overall summary for today, choppy. Right? So last week we saw back and forth. We saw a reversal of the short-term signal. It's now a new long as of Friday's action. The long-term timer still remains in cash or short. The ribbons, the slopes of the ribbons are all downward, so just be aware of that. Any rally we see here is still in the context of an overall bearish type of environment. So play it much shorter to your chest and much shorter time frame. In the SPX, the right goalpost remains at 4,100. The left goalpost remains at 3,800. That's unchanged. We note this morning transitions are generally wide, and what that means is there's not a lot of pressure to move either way. We need some overhead in the money long puts to be closed, and then we need overhead out of the money calls to be added to enable and sustain a push upward. What that does is that shifts the transition range, this hiding range upward, but it also enables a path where we have call-dominated gamma to the north and also call-dominated delta, and that generally starts influencing an overall pathward upward. You'll see in one of the slides here, we're not there yet. In fact, we're a fairly good distance away from it, although the SPX PM complex, which is the dailies, is showing a little bit more positive behavior, and I'll point that out as we go through it. This Friday, the JPM 3835 strike, short strike, is dominating still. Above that level, we note that the dealers are net sellers, and below that level we know that the dealers are net buyers. But when we look at the overall structure, that's becoming more and more muddied. We are watching a number of calls go in and negate, long calls go in and negate that 38-35 short call, and as that continues, this potentially could get neutralized this week depending on the action of the 0DTE folks, 0DTE, 1DTE, etc. Delta moneyness suggests that today is going to be weak, and again, the transitions were kind of supporting that same story. But we note as we progress into tomorrow through Friday, we see some upside potential as large in-the-money put positions are going to be closed. They're going to be rolled one way or the other. They're expiring, especially way up above 4,500. If you can believe, there's a lot of in-the-money puts up there that are coming down and coming off this week. The market model via our cumulative tick. I've got tick RC. This is actually USC, so my apologies there. 52-week new high, new low. The breadth has been very poor. It's really supportive of the bears, not the bulls. We need to see green over red. We're not getting there yet. We need to see this yellow line, which is the difference line, turn positive. We're not seeing that. We did attempt to move north on Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday was a pullback day. And then Friday, it looks like we did have some large player accumulations. That's good. It's constructive. But overall, the structure is downwards. So the long-term market model remains bearish, downward slopes. And this is the choppiness that I talked about, down, down, horizontal, up, down, up, so day one again, play it very, very close to your chest. I wouldn't get too far out over your skis. Overall key levels, 4,100 upside, 38 to the low side. This is the PM-Settled Complex. A little bit of a change right here, 3,900. But overall, just be aware, here's that JPM short strike. Not a lot going on here. Relatively tame expected move. This is within kind of our recent history of where we've been on the low side. But we're watching this 41 and 38 to be sure. The PM settled complex, so this is just the Monday through Fridays. You can see that the overall delta structure is fairly mixed. That's not really conducive to moving north, and we still have a lot of overhead puts that need to come off. That's what all this red delta here means. Gamma up here at the top of transition sitting right around 3870, so we can hold above 3870. That actually could be constructive to moving north. 3900 obviously is a key level to watch here, so we'll want to see that. And I just want to call out this 3915, 25, and 35 level. Those are potential hiding areas. We do favor hiding within transition, but just be aware of what's going on. And of course, here's the JPM strike that's not liquid, but coming off at the end of the week where it becomes liquid. The 0 DTE, fairly constructive. You can see a very tight range today. So as we advance north, if we advance north, futures are indicating higher open. We're going to be deep in this range. And typically we have some weakness as this gets monetized. So think COTMC, one of our indicators, and would think there would be some monetization that would go on, especially with the jump upward and the moneyness change that these folks are going to see. That being said, this 39.35 becomes that upper range for today also. And also note that overall the deltas are mixed. They're not really conducive to advancing rapidly upward, but they're also not conducive to falling dramatically either. So we're in this kind of quasi zone today where I think it's just noise and chop. Tomorrow, so our projection, our crystal ball into tomorrow, a little bit wider transition. A couple key areas I've called out here: circle 1, circle 2, circle 3. These are all areas that I think are potential for overnight pinning. So as we go into today, these would be areas where the dealer exposure could be fairly benign. We tend to favor where we see a sign change, a corresponding sign change of both the deltas and the gammas. It has back tested well in context of our note taking here. This is the 1 DTE. We are mindful that if we can get above that 3900 Livermore level, that we could close up in this area, so I'm going to be watching that. Just note we also for tomorrow have a fairly significant amount of negative gamma coming off the table, and you can see the structure for tomorrow is still pretty ill-defined. So not a lot of advancing expected in both the delta and the gammas overhead, and so I think we're kind of pinned down into this level. The combo, which is the AM plus PM complex, you can see a sea of red. We're just starting to see some transitions to a few call-dominated strikes. That's a big deal. We need this to really flip green if we're going to advance north, and we're not seeing it. So these in-the-money puts need to come off, and we need to see out-of-the-money calls get added, which will force us up and start pulling us up. Gamma structure is still kind of mixed, but obviously clearly call dominated above us, which is generally the way it works. To the downside, we need to see a lot of support down here, and we're not seeing it. Support in the form of in-the-money calls. The puts are still dominating the conversation below us, and until these come off, we're going to be pinned down into this area. We're not seeing a rapid advance here. One of the nice things that we can do here is take a look in our crystal ball. Although it's as good as yours, we can take a look here into the future and say, what does the week hold? And so we've turned on just the expiries for the week. You can start to see some of the thawing of the ice this week. Remember, this is what's coming off as we progress through the week. The key is that as we see more and more red come off, that has the potential, and then you couple that with a long calls going in, of starting to turn the overall structure here more and more green on the delta side. The gamma levels are fairly significant. We like that. Now we need to see a corresponding synchronization with a call-dominated structure overhead as well as below. As the puts are closed, calls are open, and as the puts are closed, the out-of-the-money puts are closed down here. So we're mindful of this. We're mindful of this 38.35. We're mindful of that as we get further and further and further away from this, the dealer pressure is going to be trying to move us back down, because this is the air in the room this week. Independent of what you may hear from other services out there, this is what the structure looks like, and this is a big deal. So as we get further and further north until this gets negated, and it is being negated, this started off by being a negative 44,500, and it's coming down because we're seeing more and more long puts being added there, or long calls, excuse me. which are negating those short calls. Until this starts really turning green here, and with those puts coming off, we're not thinking we're going to get too far above this. All of that said, the upper pin that we're looking at is this 39.35, 39.40 area. We think that's the upper range for this week, but of course, you know, your crystal ball is as good as ours. But here's our best attempt. Taking a look at the delta moneyness structure, you can see on the call side, and for the edge case, which is the 0 DTE, there's virtually nothing. It's all buried into the 1 DTE. 0 DTE is nothing, 1 DTE, 2 DTE, and into the end of the week here. So just be aware that we do have some things coming off, but not today. Today is fairly benign, and we're not really worried too much about it. We are seeing some, these are out of the money puts, and they're scheduled to come off, so that'll be helpful as we start freeing up the base, basically turning that structure that I was just talking about more green. And as these puts come off on this side, this is overhead, that'll also turn the area above us green, and we absolutely need that to advance. So if you're not watching this stuff, you need to. You can run these charts in the Discord. I would urge everyone to ask questions, because I think this is how you determine what are some highly likely outcomes of what's going to happen. Finally, last slide here, the structure for the SPX combo. We're sitting right here, this 38.44. Like I said, we're indicated to open a little bit north of that, up into this area. With the futures, we'll see where that goes. Here's the 4,000 line. More importantly, here's the left goal post 3,800. Here's the right goal post at 4,100. And you can see we're getting some growth. So as we continue to see calls come in and prices move up, all of these will advance in a disproportionate way. But 4,000 is becoming more of a target right now. 3,870 is really what we need to get above, and then we've got a few pockets where we could potentially hide. Here's that JPM line. This thing is going to continue to grow, but if we get further and further away from this, actually the influence of the gamma will be less and less. But just be aware, this is a big level right now that is kind of racing with the 3,800. These combined are what are pulling us back. So until these release, we do think we're going to have, just a difficulty moving north. So just be aware of that, right? You got two sets of negative gamma here, which I think are important, and then the deltas that are associated with here with the JPM are going to continue to pull us back down until we probably get through this week. So that's it for today. If you have any questions or comments, come join us at GammaEdge.us. Click that pricing tab and fill out the blanks. Come on in, join us, 14-day free trial. Looking forward to seeing you and answering your questions. Follow us on Twitter, please, GammaEdges with an S. And then here on YouTube, if you like today's content, let me know directly by smashing that like button. It gives me immediate feedback. And then, of course, subscribe, because Taylor, myself, and Michael post videos at least once a day, and more often twice a day, to keep you abreast of what we're seeing. So with that, bid you farewell. Hope to see you in the Discord, and good luck. Make it a great week. Thanks, everyone.